right into it. QuickBooks, we are live in New York City, Wednesday, November 6th. Already just a day ahead of an AFC West showdown. We've got Oakland and LA Chargers and Raiders squaring off on NFL Network. We'll break down all of that, of course. A big one with the Vikings and the Cowboys. Nate Burleson, Peter Schrager, Kyle Brown.
Hello. That's right. We have one hell of a show for you. Listen, two huge quarterback announcements. What is like life after Cam Newton in Carolina and his foes? The guy for the Jags. We're also going to do the long show. The long show is going down today where we take the longest plays and we do a little physical challenge and sometimes a pop quiz by Kay Adams.
What's up, Noah?
A lot of fun here on the show with that one. We'll also break down the most interesting and elaborate schemes of the week on Cool Plays Bro.
What happens to Cool Plays Bro? What is that?
Is that Emmanuel Sanders lining up at running back? Why is that the case?
My guy Shrags will get up in front of us with his TikTok account and he'll do a little Cool Plays Bro.
Hey now.
It's what makes our show cool, bro.
That's right.
We also have an absolute legend on the show. After having Jerry Rice yesterday, we have another wide receiver who is a monster on the field for the Lions. He is in the Lions Ring of Honor. Herman Moore is going to be joining us. And not in studio. We're going to take him outside to the New York streets.
Oh.
I'm telling you, don't go anywhere. One great show.
Can I be Scott Mitchell? Throw it lefty to him?
Scott Mitchell.
A lot of Lions talk going on. We have to, of course, talk about the NFC North, but the news of the day is Cam Newton. Let's get to it. The lead block.
Lead block.
Lead block.
Yesterday, the Panthers announced that their quarterback has been placed on injured reserve. They're shutting him down for the 2019 regular season. Now, Cam commented on the team's post on Instagram. Here's what he said. Charlotte and the Panthers will forever be in my heart. I will work my tail off to be stronger, faster, smarter, and more accurate for you guys. Until then, I will continue to support the hell out of the Panthers and for Kyle Allen and Will Greer. Nate, translate this, especially the font. Translate this.
Well, I don't know if he's trying to keep it cryptic with the way he put the font out there, but I do feel like right out the gate he's telling the fans that if this is my goodbye, I want to show you how much I appreciate you. But then he also on the back end talks about coming back.
Here, so what is he saying?
I believe he's reading the writing on the wall, but also giving himself a little bit of a fail-safe in case they do bring him back. I feel like the writing is on the wall. There's only two ways this can go. It's either Cam Newton takes a year and some change off like Andrew Luck did. He comes back, he returns to MVP-like form, and he balls out as a Carolina Panther, retires as a Carolina Panther. He is forever a legend as a Carolina Panther. But then there's another way that this can go where they can trade Cam Newton and simultaneously receive picks while Cam Newton has a fresh start somewhere else, or they can just cut him when his contract is up. There's only two options, just two options. It's either he stays or he goes with some working of his contract, Shrags.
Contract's interesting. So they could save $19 million next year if they release him.
Smart.
And they can give him $2 million. That's all it would be on the books, $2 million. On the other end of it is he's due $21 million from the Panthers. He'll be the best quarterback on the open market this offseason. $21 million compared to what Jared Goff is making, $32 million.
What Dak is asking for?
Dak is going to make $35. Cam Newton for 20. Is that a gamble that the Panthers want to take and roll the dice and say, hey, for one more year, just in case he gets healthy, do we keep it? Ron Rivera in no way has come out and said, we're turning the page from Cam Newton. The other option is to what Nate said, a trade. Does a team say, okay, hey, look, for $19 million, we'll give you a first-round pick, give us Cam Newton, we'll take a shot at this. It's fascinating how it ends up, but I would say this. With him going on the IR, it would be until the playoffs where he's held. I think Cam Newton's done for this season, but I'm not ready to close the book on Cam Newton's Carolina Panthers career until I actually see him released or actually see him traded. It makes too much fiscal sense to keep him on the books as just in case, especially if Kyle Allen's making $1 to $2 million next year is what he's due to make.
You know, at some point Cam's going to retire, and we're going to do a segment about what we remember about Cam. I'm going to do the font. I mean, that font is unbelievably signature, and apparently it's an app. You have to get the app to do the font. It's wild. I think, though, in this case, I think he uses that font, and I see a Dear John letter. I really do. Or in this case, it'd be a Dear Ron letter. But, I mean, I think this is him saying, I love you guys, it's been real, and that's it. And I really do think the Panthers are going to move on. I do. I think it's not only the money, it's the play, it's the losses, it's the constant injury, it's the ultimate buyer beware. And, you know, the Panthers replied to it with like some little blue hearts. And I think the Panthers are saying, we love you. And if you love someone, set them free. We've found someone who takes care of us and sees to our needs and takes care of the ball. Cam Newton is not the face of the team anymore. He's not the leader of the team. That's McCaffrey. And Kyle Allen wins. The only way I think this gets real dicey is if the team falls apart and Kyle Allen starts to play poorly and they miss the playoffs. They're like, well, maybe we don't have it, and now we got to have a competition next year. I think, though, it's Cam saying thank you. It's been great.
And would that be the worst thing? Like, we've seen so many weird father time departures with quarterbacks.
Sure.
With Eli, with, what we're looking forward to Brady having this sort of clean break. Wouldn't that
Peyton
be
Manning.
sort of that for
100%.
Cam Newton here?
Yeah, and I also think, look, we love Steve Smith. He's maybe the Panthers' greatest player of all time. It didn't end well with Carolina. He mended those fences and now is in the Ring of Honor. But, like, this would be a dignified end of Cam. It's not like he lost his job with injury. He left it all on the field. It's interesting, though, Peter. Maybe they stay in it because it's actually not that much money if you get real Cam. But how long have we been waiting for real Cam? 3 years?
Think about it that I like that you brought that up because I looked at it as 19.1, 21 point whatever, and it's too much. To me, that's only a deal or a team-friendly deal if
he's the quarterback.
If you are the guy who was 2015 MVP or Offensive Rookie of the Year way back when it was another Cam, not the one that's on a losing streak, not the one that has negative rushing yards on this season, and the one who's had a foot, a shoulder, a concussion, a back, a rib, and so on and so on. So we talk about not only just the toll of injuries, but what they do to suck the life out of a player. I just don't know it's such a huge risk that he'll ever come back.
No, it's great. I mean, it's $19 million for the good Cam Newton's a bargain. $19 million for the Cam Newton we have right now is not a good bargain. That's a deal you want to move on from.
Peter, isn't the crux of Cam always that his talent is so seductive that it's different? That it's not like if he were to leave and find his groove again, you're like, we let Cam get away?
We've been on the air for 4 years, and we've started every Cam Newton show with if and when healthy. And he hasn't been. So it's like, I'm a believer. I love it. I saw it in my own eyes. Like,
it's
I saw
a
him.
song, though.
But he's not even 30, and I think those days are probably. And this injury here, it's a foot injury where there's no timetable, there's no surgery. He's not getting better. Like, that's as bad as it could be for a mobile quarterback.
The one thing we have to think about is these storylines repeat themselves. This isn't much different than Andrew Luck sitting on the sideline.
Andrew Luck retired, though.
No, I'm talking about before the retirement.
They were willing to pay him.
You talked about the risk. You said if and when Cam Newton gets healthy.
Yeah.
What were we saying about Andrew Luck? If and when he gets healthy. It was almost 2 years before we saw a healthy Andrew Luck. And even when we saw him, remember, he was throwing a tennis ball at practice, and we were thinking to ourselves, dude hasn't held a football yet? There's no way he's going to come back and ball out. And then he throws for 37 touchdowns, and all of a sudden we're like, you know what? That's why we waited. And I feel like this is the same situation. If indeed Cam Newton really wants to play again, if he has his mindset of recapturing that magic,
sounds like
$19, $20 million, that is one hell of a deal for a guy who put up 50 touchdowns in one season, and let's keep it real, was unstoppable. The question is his body going to hold up with his mind? Because his mind still wants to play, but sometimes your body is screaming at you louder than the fan base saying you need to retire instead of go play more football.
Awesome job laying out the options. So I know you think he's walking away. Where does he go?
From Carolina.
What happens to Cam?
What would be a spot that works?
A spot or a trade, or does he stay?
There's a couple of teams right now that are very interesting. I know that Sam Darnold is a very young quarterback. The last 8 games will be very telling of who this guy really is and if he's a franchise player. And we'll talk about this a little later on in the show. We're going to pick teams of really unique quarterback situations. Mitchell Trubisky in Chicago.
Talk about it.
Think about the talent that he has on that team. If Mitchell Trubisky is neither a supremely talented runner or a supremely talented passer, then you bring a healthy Cam Newton in.
You see Cam in Chicago?
Not to mention, a healthy Cam Newton will also put butts in seats and sell tickets.
Ooh.
All this stuff counts when it comes to getting a guy like that.
It's tough to see. I mean, it's an acid trip of an imagination. Like, it's blowing my mind right now. I can't see Ryan Pace bringing in Cam Newton. Again, any team bringing in Cam Newton, you don't know what you're getting. There's a couple situations
you don't know what you're getting in Chicago with Trubisky, Kyle.
Yes, you do, actually. It's not good. That's the problem.
Why not bring in Cam?
It's just, it changes your whole franchise. I don't know if they're doing that. I
also think this, in a weird way, these final 8 weeks for Cam, how he serves as Kyle Allen's backup, and he's been a great backup quarterback.
Yeah.
That's stuff because if you're getting Cam and you're like, all right, well, he's not the superstar, but he's still good in the locker room and he's still got veteran experience and he can still work with young quarterbacks, that adds 10 years to his career. Like, suddenly, wait, you could put Cam Newton in the room and he's not
It's so
Superman
much more,
and
though,
all
than
that.
bringing in a Josh McCown. It's like, with Cam, you're getting the outfits and the cult of personality. Like, your whole face of your team and your franchise changes. If he's a backup, he's a starter. It's different than any other guy.
Some teams need a facelift, bro. Some of these teams need a facelift because right now there's a handful of fan bases that we're not even paying attention to. And Cam Newton will grab them out of the gutter and say, I got you.
I love a facelift. I don't want a walking boot, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
this might not even be a conversation if Kyle Allen fails to perform the remainder of his season. What an audition. The young quarterback, who's 5-1 now, is under. He loses, he comes back, he gets a win last week in Week 9. The team is now his the rest of the way. Do we believe in this kid? We'll break it down a little bit later on Good Morning Football. Up next, Doug Marrone makes the call on his quarterback. A lot of QB changes. You need to keep it straight, keep it right here on GMFB. Can Foles now lead the Jags to the playoffs? Were you surprised by this one?
No, I think we kind of knew it was coming. I think it's the right call.
And the Patriots got exposed by the Ravens. We've got a stat about the Pats offense that might surprise you.
Oh, boy. Minshew was really fun, though. We loved that. And maybe he'll be back.
Who's Allen, that dude?
He'll be like
Good morning.